It solved all of my mystery health issues. Like,
and that's what they don't want.
Your mental health issues?
My mystery health issues.
Oh.
Because it was the one place where women could like talk and not be like, you're crazy.
That's why they're taking it away.
Have a doctor be like, you're just stressed.
It's just anxiety.
Make no mistake, baby, you fucking with the best of them. My elevated cup will knock the snot about the rest of them. So if you doubt the kid got hard up in his chest pops, you got me fucked up like ex-cops and gem pop.
Don't touch that dial, because there's nothing else on. You might just as well listen to
The next episode of the Gabo Show.
Thank you. I have to tell these two people in particular, I'm on your side, bro. I'm never making fun of you. I'm making fun of me. How was everyone's week? First of all, we have Saila. Last time, this is the OG refugee slumber party that happened in lieu of Annalisa. And now we have the same crew, but with Saila. So why don't we start with you? How was your weekend? Or week?
How was my week?
Yeah.
As an LA native, I would say my week sucked.
Thank you for your honesty.
But I'm here and I'm alive and I have a home.
Alhamdulillah, bro. Alhamdulillah, for real. And you guys were doing some really cool programming over at Vidiots for the kids. I know some people were making fun of you guys for the cat videos, but I thought that was very, very beautiful and soothing. And we went over there to see In the Mood for Love the other day, and that was incredible.
I mean, we are trying to provide a lot of free programming for the community because people need to escape for a few hours a day, which is great. And then, of course, you're going to get some parents who are like, why are you showing avant-garde cat videos to my kid? And I'm like, why aren't you on TikTok so you understand that these aren't avant-garde cat videos? They're just cat videos.
Avant-garde is insane.
What are avant-garde?
It's like Godard, shot from beneath the table. It's not avant-garde, it's cute.
Yeah, they're absolutely just it's cuteness. So yeah, that was my week. How's everybody else's week?
But yeah, how was reintegrating to society after leaving the commune?
Honestly, it's all been a blur. I have no idea. I'm just, I don't know. I've been a bit of a hermit. I've been in the house, because I'm like, were you not supposed to be outside breathing the air? I got 2 air purifiers, and so I'm like, I don't know. I'm just feeling weird all week. And time has been passing, but I did get some stuff done. I did finish a little project that I was
Tell us about it. Tell the people.
I mean, listen, it's the first draft, but it's a theater show that I wrote, and I made it in an audio draft form. So it's all recorded, and I pretty much spent the week listening to my songs and myself over and over and over.
If you're not making joys that you listen to, what's the point?
But the thing is, it literally is just it brings me joy. Whatever. It's not perfect, but it's you make something and then you're just look at this thing I made. Look at this thing I made. Look at this thing. I could just over and over and over. It's the joy is in the making of it and then being I made something.
But I think that listening to your own shit is the secondary joy of me. I mean, it's I don't understand artists who are I made a thing. It's not what I listen to, but you go listen to it. I'm that's a terrible sell. You know what I'm saying? All I do is listen to my own demos. Don't ever fucking pull my headphone out and be what are you listening to? I'm for real. But I'm glad. First of all, just so you know, this couch is always here for you. So if you feel you need to reintegrate, come back anytime. We have your socks hanging up on the.
Thank you. No, I mean, this is feels like home. It's a safe space.
It is home.
And I'm happy to be back. It feels like kind of a strange amount of time since the last time. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I can't tell if it was a million years or 5 seconds.
It was exactly a week.
Okay. As long as someone can confirm.
After the last pod, I was hey, same time next week. And he was yeah. And then today she was oh. And I was hey. Reef, how was your week after you left us?
My week was hard going back home. And good, it felt like coming back home when I came in
good,
today.
That's what we want you
I was walking outside and I was this is I feel connected to this place. But my week overall was good. I did I had a lot of work, like on my in my
Because you have a real
9 to
job.
5.
Yeah, we were just realizing that Reef is the only person with like a salary that comes, you know.
Oh man, yeah, it's like like at the company I work for, we're like planning a bunch of stuff for this next year. They have like ambitious goals, and so I'm trying to like figure out, okay, how are we gonna make this all happen? Yeah, ambition's in the air.
Actually, ambition is going to be a theme this show, so we're going to return to that.
Cool. Yeah, but alhamdulillah, the house. I hadn't seen the house until Sunday night.
How is the house? Everything good?
House, thankfully, all is good.
Hasham Rani, if you're listening, everything's good. Your assets are being taken care of.
There's a few things that, like, outside, there's
Don't
a few
talk about that.
I'll send some videos. And yeah, checked in with my siblings. Alhamdulillah. Like they've been outside. Like they're both outside California. But we checked in, and yeah, all's been good. This weekend I'm really hoping to get some music in. Like that's on my mind.
Yo, I love that you're saying this weekend. It is Saturday, and you're gonna be here till 6. So that means Sunday.
Sunday, tomorrow.
Or there's a session tonight that I have not been invited to.
It's like either that or rhythm room. I'm open to either path.
Yo, are people going outside right now? Like,
that's a good question. I see. There's a lot of people outside here.
Yeah, but I mean, like, are people? Should they?
That's a different question.
Should people be going outside?
Yeah, that's a more important question.
I kind of want to hear from Safia
I want to
first.
hear about her week, and then I think we found the transition.
Okay.
The segue gods over here. Young Safia, how are you?
Good. I have not been going outside. The one time I have left the house since Bahia and I went to Trader Joe's together last weekend was to go see In the Mood for Love at Vidiots, which was a transcendent and emotional experience. I've never seen it on the big screen before. But this week, I feel like back to school this week, you know, where we got back last week. Obviously, I did not respond to a single email. And so this week is when I'm like no longer out of office, I guess. I'm like doing my tasks. I'm writing again. I showed Saila earlier. I'm working on a novel that is partially a period piece, like the late 2000s, early 2010s. And up until the pandemic, all of that felt like it was like 2 seconds ago, and I could remember it without having to think too much about it. And now that I'm trying to look at it closely, there's so much that I just haven't thought about in so long that it's gone, kind of. And so I'm trying to jog my memory. And so I made a Finsta and found my old Tumblr and a bunch of old Facebook photos, and I just put them all in one place so I can scroll and look at them. And it's really, I think it'll be very helpful for the project, but it is supremely disorienting to be like, have half my brain in like my like 2012 Bed-Stuy apartment and the other half here, like listening to our local bikers outside. So it's like good to be back at it. And also, I don't know, I miss you guys. I feel like exactly it's been like 5 seconds and a million years. Reef, we still haven't deflated your air mattress. I'm sure you saw.
I'm not deflating that shit, bro.
Like,
I'm making it ready. Well, Safia, thank you for sharing. And I was privileged enough to read some pages of the new joint, and as everyone expects, it's a banger. So I just want to start the episode officially by saying this is episode 12 of the Chris Gabo Show, and thank you guys all for being here. You know, we have from my left arm, I don't know if it's left or right, but from this left,
that's your left.
yo, chill. The amount of feedback I just got non-verbally, I just wanted to be able to do a little like from my, we got, the DMV's very own Safia Elhillo, got Malibu's most wanted Saila Reyes over here, the Saudi Slayer Reef Loretto, and the future host of Bahia Salon Bahia herself, Bahia Watson. So it's been a fucked up time, and I feel like that's been true. I feel like you could drop in at any time in the last like 2 years, and it's maybe kind of true. But I wanted to start off our A block with our aforementioned Los Angeles native, Saila Reyes, to talk about. There's I get all my news, no pressure from you. So just tell us what's going on outside. And there was a couple, I know we're going to talk about fire stuff, and I should have asked you to bring your respirator today because I wanted to show people what a real mask
I'm
is.
in the middle of bejeweling it, so it's not available for the public right
So
now.
Did everyone hear how Saila just committed to be here next week to show us her bejeweled? So tell us what's going on in the streets.
Well, the Eaton fire is like 74% contained, so hopefully that's going to be done in the next 2 days. Done
Inshallah.
in terms of burning, but middle class, working class, historically black neighborhood has been decimated, and that is no small loss for the community. And then the Palisades fire, I think we're around 34% containment. It's not a lot, but it's something. But the Palisades are gone. Malibu, big part of it is gone. And people are so fucking stupid. They're like, the rich are burning, whatever. They're fine. There's so many people who are not rich and who are not fine. Like the Palisades are full of elders who had those homes when they bought them for like $100,000 40 years ago, and they've been there 4 generations somewhere in LA, and they decided to go somewhere no one else wanted to go, and now suddenly it's like a rich neighborhood. But like, there are people who have nothing now, and they don't have insurance, and everything is bad. So that's the fire update. But David Lynch also died. So like, LA is just suffering right now.
Yo, I can't even, the David Lynch thing, I can't even process, like, and that it's like in a way, like, because he's such a deep artist, I don't put it as celebrity news, but with all the other stuff going on, it's like I can't even, you know.
It was so weird because like everything, you're right. For the past 2 years, you can drop in at any point in time and like something bad is happening. But this fire, it was a lot. And then when I got the news that David Lynch died, then I started crying, and I was like, what the fuck?
What was the straw that broke the camel's back?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, that man is LA, and like his weather updates during COVID, I don't know if anyone watched those.
No, I didn't know about that.
Every day for KPFK, he would be like, it's blue skies and golden sunshine all the way, and it was so positive, and you're just like, oh, I can keep going. That man loved LA. He loved the light, he loved the people, he loved this place. And I think that one of the biggest things for me as an LA native throughout this entire experience is there are so many people who are going like, oh, LA is over. And I'm like, then
Fuck those
leave.
people, bro. Then get the fuck
you
out of here,
don't
yo.
understand this place, and you don't deserve to be here.
Straight up.
And like my brother, he at the height of it, when there was a fire minutes from my family's home, he was like, so where are you going to put all of these people, all my parents, my grandmother, my sister? And I was like, well, I'll fly them to Atlanta and I'll make sure they're out of harm's way. And he's like, and then where are you going to go? And I was like, I'll go to New York. And I was like, I'm lying to you. I would never leave this place. I will go down with the ship because this is my home, and I want to be where I can help, if I can be of any help. So yeah.
Well, and it's also like, you know, one of the things that I've heard, I've heard a lot of people, trying to jump ship or whatever. And like, I understand it's scary, right? If you're not used to fire, the same way that we know, Safia, when we were in Miami and there was like a tropical storm and y'all thought it was a hurricane, I was like, it's not even a hurricane.
Chris literally was carrying me on his back. I was wearing Miu Miu ballet flats, and so couldn't
Fit check.
And it was shin deep water. Chris lost the shoes that he was wearing, so it was either your shoes or my shoes. And so Chris was like giving me a piggyback ride through 3 blocks of shin deep water. And then when we were finally safely inside, I was like, oh my God, it's a hurricane. He was like, technically, it's only a tropical storm.
Which is all to say that you kind of pick, look, the world is in a constant state of, chaos and danger. And like, that's why, I'm leaning so heavily on you, Saila, to be like, what's the lens here, right? Because again, in that moment, and Safia, I don't know, we tell our story like it's funny, and it is funny, but I was like hoping that it calmed people down to be like, I've seen motherfuckers kayak in the street where I grew up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we live on an island, so it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm looking good.
I have a question for you, but also if you don't want to answer it on a recorded medium, it won't hurt my feelings. Okay?
Dun dun.
I'm wondering what's coming up for you around this fire, seeing as how you lost your childhood home to a wildfire. And if that has undone some of the processing work, or if that kind of informs this I'm going down with the ship energy, or yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the going down with the ship energy is like tenfold now. And especially because of my work at Nvidia, it's like I had a little girl come up to me and be like, hi, my house burned down. And I was like, oh, how do you feel about that? And she was like, sad, but excited. And I was like, oh God, that's actually the fucking point. Like, this land is for the next generation. It was stolen. It was stolen from the indigenous people. It was stolen from black people. And now a whole other neighborhood is, again, they're going to try to steal it. They're going to try to buy the land. They're going to try to push people of color out. And I was like, oh, well, in whatever small way I can make that not happen, I have to be here to make that not happen, because I went back to my childhood home for the first time last year. It had been 5 years. I could not go back. I was so heartbroken. And when I went there, I was with Jotisha, and she had been back a bunch, and she just very graciously let me walk around and like cry, and she pretended that she didn't see. And and so that experience made me realize, like, the land as it is now, there are very few markers that humans ever lived there. And you see the land regenerating. And that experience, remembering that now, makes me realize that, like, we can regenerate, and we should, but not in the same way, because it is destructive to the earth. It is destructive to our communities. The biggest concern that I have right now is that people are breathing in this air and they don't remember 9/11, which, like, I've been itching for someone to be like in my face and be like, why are you wearing a mask? And I'll go, because I remember fucking 9/11, you dipshit. I want them to say it. I really want to get into a fight so badly. That's like, I think that's what the fire has brought up in me. I'm not aggressive. I'm not an aggressive person.
Yo, okay, that's cap. I'm gonna let you have your zoom in moment, but that's cap. That's 100%.
Like, once you're out in the streets with your bedazzled respirator mask,
Cap
that's
City.
gonna be a conversation
Cap
piece
City.
for sure.
No, and it's like, I mean, again, I've been leaning on you very heavily with this stuff, because, like, outside, I don't know, you see, first of all, but I also, because I'm from Florida, I know the idiots exist. You know what I'm saying? So I see motherfuckers who's just like, no, just jogging on the highway. And I'm like, I too wish to have a six pack for this. But also, what the fuck, bro? Like, I mean, what's it been like for you outside? Like, y'all live in the same neighborhood. Y'all are neighbors.
Outside,
But, yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't go there.
Okay, moving on. No, moving
I don't
on.
go there anymore, but I will say that, like, I'm not from here. I'm from Canada, for anyone who doesn't know.
Shout out upper annexation territory.
So, and I'm from, like, middle of Canada, and then spent time in Toronto. So, like, fires are completely new to me. And, everyone in Canada's like, so are you, like, you're gonna leave, or, and all this stuff. And, like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, I've lived in LA for like 3 years, and I feel like it's actually bonded me more to the place where I'm like, no, like, I actually can't leave. Like, I have no job and stuff, and I don't know how I'm gonna survive here. But in terms of, like, the fire, like, my love and attachment to the place has only grown. And I didn't say it before, but also over the week, like, I really, like, seeing how people mobilized and organized, and like, the love for their home and the place and each other, and have like shunned through. It's been really beautiful and really, like, inspiring, because I'm like, that's that's our true selves. It's like, when shit goes down, that's when you show your true colors. And I was like, look, like, at least from what I'm seeing, like, it's really beautiful, true colors. And, and people obviously, like, on, X, formerly known as Twitter, it's just like a horrible place. But, like, and everyone's like, yeah, hey, California, burn. And I'm just like, oh my God.
People are really saying that?
People, like, I mean, that site is just like, I'm like, who is on here, and why is everyone saying that? Like, why is everyone, I didn't know everyone hated California. But I'm like, and obviously that's not, like, representative of, I don't think, everybody, but, like, I'm like, it's actually, like, a beautiful, like everyone's so beautiful. My love, the beauty, like what everyone has shown, like the heart and the generosity and like the spirit that people have shown, and like that kind of like, and I was like, oh, I'm getting a bit of like that California like survivalist like vibe where I was like, okay, that's it, like no, like kind of not afraid and just like nope, like we we'll rebuild and we'll like gather and distribute, and then we'll keep it going, like so that's been really beautiful. I didn't say that before, but I love, like my love has grown. I'm like, I feel like I'm bonded and attached, and I'm like, I love LA and I love California and like I love the people.
No,
and
100%.
it's just like love. That has been a love experience.
I think that's very beautiful, and I think that's like the sort of two camps that I feel like I've been finding people in. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, for us, it's like, I mean, a lot of time right now, people are in panic mode, in the macro, right? I'm talking not just LA, like in the macro, especially people who've like maybe are experiencing fear or hardship for the first time in their lives. You know what I'm saying? Because of whatever, right? And one thing that I hear people saying is like, where's the safest place to go? Should we be looking at the Navy maps and all, showing up to Nate Marshall's house in the fucking by the Great Lakes? And I'm like, bro, the safest place is where you know people. So like, I don't have many remnants from, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, I don't have many remnants from Christianity that I like, that really are in my life, as other than like, but there was this one thing this preacher told me one time, that I quote it all the time. I'm sure it's not him. I'm sure it was like, I don't know, like maybe it was Oprah who said, I don't fucking know who said it, but he's saying the grass is not green on the other side. The grass is green where you water it. And I think that every day. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm on multiple levels. One, as a human, and also like as a musician, like I really resent leaving my hometown, because now it's like I can't rap about that. I can, but like not really, and then I went to New York and then I left again. So now I'm like so hungry to belong. And I feel like this has really like, I mean, Saila, when you got that job at Vidi, it's like, I feel like every time we walk in there, I'm like, I mean, not only your second home, but like an extension of you. It's like, this is my favorite cinephile going to show motherfuckers movies, you know what I'm saying? And she goes there every day and they pay her for that. It's like a very like, yeah, I feel very grateful to be in the city during this time, honestly, Reef, what has it been like for you? Especially you have, family abroad and shit. Like, I'm sure people are worried about you.
Yeah, definitely. I really like resonate with what you said about feeling more attached. Like, I do feel more attached to this place, to my neighborhood, to the city, to this area. I moved here kind of recently. I moved here in November 2023. Wow. And it wasn't a move that was like, there wasn't a huge amount of like upfront planning behind it. It was more like responding to an invitation. My sister at the time was living in San Francisco. I was living in Minneapolis. I was living in New York for a while before that. And
making beats on the machine.
In
Williamsburg.
Yeah. And I actually could have. I had like I was like, my life was organized in a way where I probably could have stayed in Minneapolis for a long time. But fuck that. My cousin and I, like Reneen, like I
shout out Reneen Bukhari, friend of the show.
Yeah. She was like, we started talking about possibly like basically like collabing on a place. And getting a place together.
To use collab language about purchasing a home is the most hip hop shit that's happened. He's like, yeah, we're thinking about a little, we should link up and cook, bro. You're like, you mean buy a house?
And I mean, October came. It was like a group decision. Like I started talking to my sister about it. She was open, like she was very enthusiastic about the idea of like moving towards family. And I grew up in Saudi Arabia, and like I grew up around KSA.
I saw something the other day that was like Kentucky something, but is it KSA? And I was like, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. And I think like it's like there's KSA for like kosher things on food and stuff. I think that's also
There
like,
are only so many acronyms, bro.
yeah. But that's separate. But we grew up around I grew up around a lot of family, around specifically like my mom's extended family. Like we grew up close to where my mom was born in Dammam. And so for my sister and I, like the possibility of like moving here and being close to our cousin and her family was really compelling, and like it definitely made me feel very enthusiastic. We also were thinking about like our brother coming and like really like
Shout out McKean, friend of the
shout
show.
out McKean, friend of the show. He's making his own decisions on like where he's like directing his life to be continued. Yeah, like it all happened very fast. Like the conversation started, my siblings and I were talking about it, and then by November, I got a one-way ticket and started settling in. And I came with very little. I came with like quite literally just like the same suitcase I had here last week.
The Apollo twin, the machine.
No Apollo.
Yeah.
Like
no
I didn't
Apollo.
even have an interface. I had like there was actually it was kind of
It's like
weird.
silent movie zone where no camera. She's like, I don't. What am I gonna wear?
Like it was kind of funny because I left Saudi, like by the time I finished high school, I had a lot of music equipment. Like I had the vocal like isolation booth thing. Mm-hmm. I had a condenser mic, the Rode NT1A. I had like a bunch of shit that I had accumulated during high school, and I brought all of that with me to my first dorm. And like in the first dorm, I had the whole little setup. And then the second dorm, everything came. And the third dorm, everything came. And then the first like apartment while I was still in college, everything came. And so over time, I was just like accumulating a bunch of stuff. And moving out here was actually the first time I became fully separated from all those things. It was kind of funny because the first sessions that we had, I was like this is funny because I'm bringing only my body, like in different
Well, as an artist,
places.
eventually you become the tool. You could set Saila up with nothing, and she'll figure out a way to make a movie, bro. She'll be like, get the backup cam on the Honda Accord, and we'll just shoot that. You know what I'm saying? It's a wide, and then push in, and just reverse. You know.
Actually, I was driving one of my friend's cars that has cameras all around, and I realized that like if I'm never gonna do this, but if I wanted to make a hit and run movie where I was just trying to hit things but I couldn't because the car wouldn't let me, and I was fighting with the car because the car is such a fucking narc. If you don't have two hands on the wheel, it yells at you. If you go too close to something, it yells at you. You try to hit something, it stops you. And I was like, this if I was weirder, this could be something.
You guys, YouTube is publishing, so you can't take that. It's, this thing about talking about stuff and about movement. This is all like these are all kind of themes that I sort of want to get into. I think what I want to do right now, let's get just to break the A block up. Let's get into this new music segment for 2 seconds, and then because I have a feeling that once I like throw these threads, y'all motherfuckers are gonna talk for it, and I'm not gonna want to cut it off. So this is a joint. Speaking, and again, like not to be making, but I do think everything is one thing. Like this is an artist that I met through Ebony Smith, a friend of the show, who came to a session with us, Chris and Jesse, at their spot. And I don't even know who this kid was. He actually came in with our homie Lewis, and who's Ebony's cousin, and he was just, like that day. My man would be like, "Oh, can I bring a friend to the studio?" And I was like, "No," you know what I mean? And then he sent me his music, and I was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Wow, I'm so fake." I'm so fake. And when he sat down, I was like, "It ain't free, okay? You can hang out, but 8 bars. You have to. I don't give a fuck. You have to." And he put 8 bars on this joint. I'm not gonna play that. I'm gonna play his song. But again, like those are things that only would have happened because of LA, you know what I'm saying? And like every day I just like I want to grow roots here, And shout out to Lonnie, a long way friend of the show, who inshallah one day will come back to the pod. he was the first one because I knew Saila from LA. I mean, we met in New York, but I knew that she was from LA, and I used to clown her all the time because I was on my like New York conservatism shit, and I had no idea. The only thing I knew about LA were the records. You know what I'm saying? And then Alani moved out here, and I was like, "When are you coming back?" And he was like, "I'm not." And I was like, "What is everyone doing to me right now?" But anyway, this is Baby Boy Keith. This song is called 99 Degrees, and then we'll get back at it.
I've been that nigga since my birth at the earliest. Been flirting with purpose, I'm peeping serpents is lurking. Speaking of serpents, I'm urging you niggas smirking to learn this. I've been working to further my murder count through these verses. It's curtains for any nigga, a nerd overworking to hurt me. Serve words and how to slur this verbiage in worship and service. Jesus came to earth so I can turn it to turbulence. Mercy as I move on up, you may feel it like Curtis. I bring the heat like a furnace. You bring a beat and I burn it. You feel you want it, then earn it. You feeling froggy, then Kermit. Put 4 roses on your casket, they mistake you for bourbon. My discernment growing stronger, so it's past you, I'm swerving. Last year I was nervous, now I'm sick, I'm regurging. At thoughts of me yearning, waiting my turn like I'm earnest. Fuck that shit, now I'm merciless, yeah. Rappers claim we cool, but deep down this don't hurt us. How many hearses do I need to show you I am the person? That boy Jody off the hinge again. Get your distance in. If you ain't friends with him, you ain't kin to him. You ain't synonyms, you best not visit him. With no Christmas gifts, best not tend to him. Cause you finna him. Far from finished here. When I'm pinning hymns, feel like I'm in the gym. Working out that muscle in this music, I be getting it in. Wrote some Magic Volume 2, I pulled a 10 of 10, then a 10 of 10, then I dropped it, no for sure, I gotta win again. Yeah, my popsy call me every day to tell me he proud of me. Making sure my family is straight before I'm comfy. Wasting time on niggas had me stressing, my eye jumping. Time is always money, niggas won't get a dime from me. And it's the perfect place to let it out. Sometimes I peep my catalog and how it's growing when in doubt. My reminiscing harder than all of that you pretend about. I'm ready for contendership, promise that you can send them out. Send them out.
Oh wait, that's Baby Boy Keith.
It is Baby Boy Keith. God damn, I knew how hard that song, but it like surprised me again. That was 99 Degrees by Baby Boy Keith, hailing from the MI crooked letter IPPI from Mississippi, from down south. You know, people from Mississippi, the only people who can like, if they say...
You spelled Mississippi.
What?
You missed a set of S's.
MISSI. SSIPPI.
You didn't do the second S.
Well, you know, I could just say from the MI crooked letter, and that's it.
Is that from P Valley or do other people?
Crooked letter? No, a lot. No, I mean, no. You know,
wasn't that one? Did you guys watch P Valley?
Yes.
There wasn't.
It was on P Valley.
The first time I
that's the only time I heard it.
The first time I heard it was actually was about Missouri. Was the Nelly thing? I'm from the MI crooked letter OURI. No one could do it.
Nelly is performing at the Trump inauguration.
And Snoop.
Well, that's the end of our show, folks. We're on the 8th floor, and we're gonna see if it lands. God damn it, bro.
Yeah.
That really fucking sucks. But you know what doesn't suck was that song. So let's transition back. Yo, no, really, Baby Boy Keith is honestly, he's an artist to keep your eye on. I think he's such a special guy also. Like, he just like was really kind in the studio, and I hope to make more records with the man. Yeah, and it was good to listen to that, to splice up the energy here. But I really like, this just makes me want to talk about LA more, again, because I met him here. You know what I'm saying? I met him as a result of relationships that were built here, you know. And, you know, we were talking about, there's a couple threads that I wanted to tie in here in our B block, which is like talking about home. We're talking about ambition. This is a place where people move to make it. You know what I'm saying? And also this thing about stuff, you know, because, you know, Safia had, I was, you know, this is how I produce this show. I was sitting here making eggs, and Safia said something casually that made me like go, I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? And that's our whole marriage, is her saying stuff and me being like, I don't know that. And then me saying stuff and she was like, I heard this story before.
That's a story about gender.
Yeah. It's the gender agenda. No, No, but really, like, you know, and babe, I'm gonna cue you up, and then I'm gonna let you talk, and then I'm gonna grab a laptop charger, so it's not me walking away from you while you're talking, but I do need to. Is it over there? Is it over there? Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. Oh, my guy. This. You know what's funny? This. Oh, never mind. All right. Well, so one of the things, I mean, speaking of fucking techno scrap, if you want a spoiler, you know, Safia, we were talking about. Well, actually, you know what? Shouting out the homie Nadra, friend of the show, might be a good way to transition to this. So our homie Nadra, who is a very talented writer and one of the most beautiful people in the world, you know, she went viral on TikTok, which may be RIP the other day, because basically she was working at a... basically they were receiving donations, right, from people affected by the fire, and motherfuckers were just like dropping off garbage, just like literal, like, you know, underwear with shit in it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it was that bad, but it seemed that it was kind of that bad, you know. And she basically got on TikTok and was like, yo, if you don't want it, no one else wants it. Don't throw away your shit to, like, especially when people are going through stuff, bro. Like, it's crazy. And then, you know, we were talking about clothes and different things, and, you know, Safia basically said something to the effect of the, you know, like, even when you give something to like a donation center, like oftentimes that they are overburdened, even if it's the nicest thing in the world, even if it's a Gucci sweater that's never been opened, they are overburdened, and then they have to export that stuff to the global south. And then you said some stuff more specific about that, and then it made me want to go do some research on that. So if you want to cue us up with that, I can handle these threads.
Well, they don't have to export it. It's just
they don't want it on their doorstep.
Well, exactly. It's this idea of what parts of the world shouldn't have to look at waste, and what parts of the world should like have it be a normalized, integrated part of the landscape. And there's just too much clothing on the planet. There is more clothing already in existence on the planet than like everyone alive could wear in their lifetime, and still there is more being produced every day. We were watching that, I don't remember what it's called now, but that Netflix documentary.
We were watching a documentary yesterday called it's called the Shopping Conspiracy, now on Netflix. The documentary.
I don't think it was called
Dog,
that.
I have it here, okay?
Oh, it was called The Shopping Conspiracy.
But you know, it's called Buy Now.
Buy Now, okay, yeah.
The Shopping Conspiracy.
Okay, yes, it was called Buy Now.
Man, Jesus, I have it open right here. It wasn't a nine. It wasn't like I said it was called The Godfather Part 7.
The subtitle.
Yeah, she was still right.
I play you know? These fucking people, man.
But one of the thing that we were talking about when Chris was making eggs that day is it did come up because we were talking about the donation centers and this idea of, you know, like to justify overconsumption, this idea of doing a clean out or a purge is such a part of the cycle of overconsumption, because you're like, you know, it's a new year, I'm going to do a closet clean out. And then more often than not, all that does is create more empty space to replace with new stuff. And then the cycle continues for all eternity. And a lot of where those donated clothes end up, like there's a specific route that they take that ends up in Ghana, where they get 15 million pieces of discarded American clothing every week. And I believe the population of Ghana is 30 million people. So it's just like, it's too much clothing. And it's just piled up like in these markets, at the docks, in the water. It's everywhere. It's too much stuff. And then I don't remember what country it was. It might have been Rwanda or Sierra Leone, but I think it was Rwanda. Was also like part of this ecosystem. And when they said to the US, we don't want your stuff anymore, the US was like, cool, so how about some sanctions then? So it really is the US throwing its weight around as per usual in the most evil and disgusting ways. But I don't remember what my larger point is here, but there's too much stuff we like.
No, but can I? And so just to transition from that, you know, a lot of Americans don't think about sanctions as violence, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, if you're not dropping a bomb. By the way,
yeah. But and
clearly,
also the main thing that stuck with me, that I think with both of us when we were watching the documentary, is this idea of being like, oh, I'm going to give this away. I'm going to throw this away. There is no away. Away is just some other country where you don't have to look at it, but it doesn't like disappear into a puff of smoke. It's either, I think they were saying in the documentary, it either goes into the ground, into the water, or into the air. So it like...
Well, and this is the thing, right? This is why, you know, one of the guys on the documentary, this guy, Jim Puckett, you know, they call him like the James Bond of trash. And like what he would do is he would like put a tracking device in an LCD screen and then go take it to like a recycling center. And then he would watch it. And then it would inevitably end up like from, you know, California to Germany, from Germany to Thailand. And like, it's illegal to ship trash internationally, right? And then he would go to Thailand, you know what I'm saying? And like see the stuff there. And that's the thing, to your point, my love, about like kind of who doesn't have, who's not supposed to see it.
Yeah. And it all goes back to the donation centers here for the people impacted by the wildfires, because again, and here's the thing. Most people really showed up like with good intentions trying to help. That's worth saying, I think. And also it is just part of the sickness of the world we live in that this was taken as a moment to like throw out your trash, but in a way that makes you feel good about yourself. So to be like this bag of unworn H&M that's just like disintegrating in the back of my closet that makes me feel ill every time I look at it because I'm face to face with my choices. Why don't I take it to a donation center and then be like, I just got like big good person points because I gave it to a person in need, but you just gave a bag of trash to a person in need. And so it like... Yeah, I don't know. It is a big problem. That's what I have to say.
Well, and I think how it links, the reason why I felt that this was like a unifying principle for today's show was it was like, look, man, one of the things that hopefully a lot of people are realizing, certainly people in our life and inshallah other people outside of our circles, is that we're all in this together in the macro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to talk about the environment? Well, like, guess what's not good for the environment is fucking, you know, Israeli airstrikes. You know what I'm saying? That's not good for the environment, right? And, you know, when Saila and I were talking about the air and the post 9/11 thing, I had a lot of real questions because I was like, and some of the questions actually were in a way clarified by this documentary. When you're thinking about like, okay, it all goes into the ground, into the air, or into the water, right? You're like, let's say, look, even just looking around in this apartment, there's, you know, the Zoom recorder, there's some turntables over here, there's a marble table, there's like, you know, a piano. That stuff, you wouldn't eat any of that stuff. So if this goes up in flame, there are chemicals in there that are not meant to be ingested by the human body. And we are, you know, there are reports of people like, catching fish, slicing it open, and there's techno scrap in there. You know what I mean? And again, this is the reason I wanted to like kind of link this to ambition. Everyone here is an incredibly ambitious person, right? And I've been thinking about how these personal ambitions, ideas of individuality, how they intersect or perhaps create friction with the reality of the fact that everything is connected. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, I've just been thinking a lot about, you know, one of the things in the documentary was, you know, just kind of like the baseline ideas of capitalism are that growth is always good, right? That bigger is always good, that more is always good. And the kind of question I had for myself that I sort of want to pose to you guys is like, I don't know, like, there is a part of me, right, as an ambitious person, right? It's a Chris Gabo show. You don't fucking put all your energy into something unless you're like, I wanted this to grow, right? In fact, it doesn't work if it doesn't grow, you know? Like the one thing I can say is, well, at least, you know, because America doesn't make shit anymore, right? Like everyone kind of has a fake job that makes a thing that is ephemeral that exists on streaming platforms or whatever. And on some level, like, yeah, I'm glad that whatever, like a cultural product isn't physical on some level because we just have so much outgoing. But like, I make merch, you know what I mean? Also, like every time we buy equipment and something, you know, buy equipment that has planned obsolescence, you're going to have to throw that away eventually. You know what I'm saying? And I just think maybe you're using the word illness, right? Like, I do feel like a lot of people right now, especially like post-COVID, where we were locked in the house, had to contend with ourselves, and now many people in LA who are not jogging on the highway right now, those people aren't going to make it to 2027, so don't worry about that. But like, it's you're having to contend with yourself, and I often think it's like you should have. It's one word that they used in the documentary was friction. It was like what the Amazon thing does is that it makes buying whatever frictionless, right? So it's like I have a desire, I press a button, it's there. And immediately, I don't know about you, every time I get an Amazon box, I'm like, I need that box out of my house as soon as possible, right? And our building, this is a multi-purpose building. This building doesn't even recycle, right? And that being said, though, like even the idea of recycling is a thing that's been sold to the individual from corporations to try to like make us feel better about the fact that all of this stuff is waste by design, And I don't know, it's been making me think a lot about like, we have this conversation a lot, Saila, about like, because ambition is not a value. Ambition is it's a swirling pit inside of you that needs to be filled. And at least for me and other people, I think I identify, that in them. And sometimes when my friends are like, hey, I'm satisfied now because I have a baby or a marriage. I'm like, you're not going to make it. You know what I'm saying? You're too happy. You're okay. You're never going to be whatever. And also we're living,
I want to state on the record that I identify as okay.
Shout out you, man. Hey, like, mashallah. I identify.
President difficult
Wait, can I get my cam here, Josh?
She's okay.
Josh. Okay, single on me. I identify as not okay. That's why my art's so good.
I think that I was talking to a friend about this last night because he was telling me that he feels like his value is lessened because he hasn't worked as much in the past 2 years because the industry has been difficult. And so he hasn't been making money. He hasn't been working on shows. He's having a tough time. And I also identify as okay. I am a deeply ambitious person. You know this. We've had many conversations about this. But I think if you do not find satisfaction in your everyday exactly where you are, it doesn't matter what happens when you actually get everything that you've ever wanted. You are not going to be satisfied then. Self-actualization, self-realization is the only thing that actually matters. So like when you are pushing me to be like, why aren't you in Prepo? Bro, I'm good. I want to be the best possible artist that I can be right now, today. And that's the only thing that matters to me. I don't need anything else. I'm really happy with who I am right now. And I am so blessed. Every single work that I get to be a vessel for is a blessing. It is not something that I am owed. And it is not something that I feel like I need to exist. And previously in my youth, I felt like I needed something.
3 days ago.
My youth.
Don't let the new silence.
But no, I'm loving this. Go on.
It didn't. I thought that I needed a feature to justify my existence. I needed something so that people could see me. And what I was missing the entire time was the fact that I am on this planet to remember who I have always been, who I've been since I was born. And now I finally feel like I am there. Everything else, every creation that comes after this is a gift, but I don't need it. Just like I don't need extra shit. So like, I think the overconsumption is also, it is a sickness, and it is the same sickness that makes us believe that we always have to be productive in order to have value as artists, and that is bullshit. So that's where I am.
We got all that right. I want to hear from you, and then I want to. There's like
that's a tough act to follow.
But he is like, we're linking to my IMDb in the show notes. I need to work now. If these motherfuckers are too sissy to go after it, I'm gonna eat when you.
No, honestly, okay. My relationship, to ambition has changed so much in the last like 15 months. In terms of really, like, in terms of bearing witness to a genocide has like, and also like how compromised, like, which I mean I knew, but like I guess I didn't know like in the same way, like just, you know, the trying to ascend into these like some kind of upper ranks, and it's like, who the hell is in there? Like, do I actually even want to like be around those people? Do I even care if they choose me? Because like, you know, that's the whole thing about being an actor. It's like, pick me, and it's just like we don't have the same values, and I don't really care. And so I feel like my relationship to ambition has changed so much in the last year, where I'm kind of, and it's weird because like I've had these urges. I recently went back home to Winnipeg for Christmas, and it's like this like going, you know, there's a term, Sankofa. It's like going back and getting it or something, and it's like I feel like I'm like in that stage right now where it's like I have to actually go back to the beginning, and I feel like so much has been cleared away, like of stuff that I cared about. And you know, I've never been like deeply, like I've been ambitious, but I'm not like really, you know, like I think I've like been grounded, but like I don't know, I'm just like I need to go back and get something, because I'm just like I don't know really, like a lot of things have changed, like certainly over the last few years, and certainly over this last like 15 months, where I was just like, what am I aiming for, and what am I doing, and who am I really as an artist, and what can I actually let go of, like mentally, in terms of like how I think, you know, what do I think is successful, or how I want to be seen, or how I want to be known, and like, you know. So it's been a journey. I don't know that I'm entirely like there or self-actualized fully, like, but you know, even the fact that I've been like, it's been my worst year in like a decade work-wise, and so like literally like things have been cleared out, where it's like nothing is happening, and it's just you know, and who are you, and what do you really want to say, and like who do you want to be in this world, and you know, it's like sending me on a journey back to go back and find something in my roots or my home, and like, which is like Winnipeg's like a very humble place, and like I left there because of ambition. I left, you know, not too long after high school, and I was like, I'm going to Toronto. I got to get out of here. I got to go to a place where I can like make something of myself and like move past Winnipeg. And then it was like, get out of Winnipeg, go to New York, go to LA, and I was like, you know, constantly go. And then I feel like I'm just like, okay, like where am I going, and what am I, you know, like I'm kind of in that I'm in a state of like questions, you know, and I'm trying not to rush into returning back to like my old patterns, because I actually think as an artist I'm on a more interesting path. And like that, the show that I was making, like it's like, you know, and also I come from a theater background, and like, you know, I was like, oh, I'm moving to LA and I'm gonna try to like work in like film and TV, because it's like theater, you know, you can't go as far, and you can't get as rich. Like it's like a poor.
That's a fact. That's a literal fact.
It's a poor person's art, but like I love it, and like I don't know, like it's just like, you know, it's not huge, but there are people who've seen my work locally and appreciate me, and I, as like an artist within a community, matter, and I'm like, people care, and like I'm here at the world thinking nobody cares, and it's like, but there are people who care, and like that can matter, you know. And so I don't know, like my ambitions are to, like, as you were saying, kind of be the best artist I can be, and the you know, be the best person I can be, and really be of service. And I want to like constantly ground myself in that, and not get, you know, and listen, like I'm a Taurus. I love a luxury. Okay, I love a luxurious experience. You know, I mean, I'm not a sellout. Okay, at that I'm not, but I do love, you know, the finer things that money can buy. So I have to like.
What's your favorite fine thing that money can buy?
I love a beautiful hotel. I love a beautiful hotel experience. Like that is one thing that I like. If I can, I love fancy hotels, and not like well designed, you know, where it's like.
Well, you're an aesthetic, you know, when you launch your pie. This is a soft launch for Salon Bahia. It's happening, babe.
But yeah, and also, but the thing is, like, and from things I've learned from myself and people around me, it's like you can always make luxury with nothing or with the things you have. Like, it's really it's the care and the time you take. You know, look, we've got a luxurious spread here. Like, it's beautiful. Like, the crackers are arranged. Shout out Safia's cheese plate.
Shout out
for
Safia's
people
cheese
who are,
plate.
That's about care.
It's about the care.
Right, that's
and the
about
love.
care.
I'm like, what? This is fancy. This is a treat. Like, this is it. This is success. We made it.
I wish this was 6 more hours. Yeah, I mean, for real. I really like. There's 100. I want to hear from you, Reef, and then I have like 600 segues in my head because this is the best day of my life. Thank you guys because this is not regular fucking shit because you're not regular fucking people, right? I was talking to Josh about like what the show is, and as you know, we're only on episode 12, but I was like, no man, like. It was actually, not to be talking about Joe Budden every day, but like he said something about the podcast where he was like, if you're chasing a guest, you already lost. Because that means they're not tuning in for you. They're trying to hear you interview Candace Owens or whatever. I'm like, nah, man, like, this is the thing. But Reef.
I mean, this has been beautiful to listen to. Like, you're talking about ambition as this swirling pit in your stomach that has to. Did you say has to be filled or has to be like?
I'm being a little. I'll get. You talk about you,
So,
and then I'll get the my segue. Okay.
I love what all of you said. You said you're okay.
Okay.
You said you identify as a deeply ambitious person, and you're okay today, and you have enough. And I like how you said that every opportunity to make something is a gift. I really like that way of phrasing it. And you said something really interesting, which was leaving a place because of ambition. And that hit me in a very like real way. I could talk about this for a long time.
Please do.
In my first dorm room,
Next week, same fucking time,
I was that like 18-year-old boy. In my first dorm room, my like alarm song, like I've only changed my
Every
alarm
day I
tone
muscle.
is ambition.
Oh shit!
The Wale, like Rick Ross. I forgot
From Washington, D.C.
Yes. Like that was my alarm. I don't think I've ever changed my alarm to like I'm not a person who regularly changes their alarm to songs, but there was like a period of time where that was the alarm.
What is it now? Is it an ohm?
Now it's just the default. It's all. It's like it's all. And when I was a teenager, like I was in Saudi, and that's why like moving from a place because of ambition like hits in a powerful way. Like as a teenager, I had like very like specific things that I wanted to do, and it was highly specific. The plan was like get to finish high school, get to the US, and get some internship in a studio, keep practicing as a producer, and then make it to New York somehow, and then Swiss Beats in particular, I don't know why, but it was like I'm going to either intern at I forgot if it's Electric.
I mean, because he's one of the greatest.
Yeah, it's true. Like I wanted to work in his studio in New York, and then collaborate with him specifically. Like that was like the end point, and I was like, if I can get there, then everything else is going to be okay. And I think like if I were to like try and characterize how I like the form that ambition took at that time, the form is that there like this is not enough. There is a place, or there is a future state where many things will be different, and that when you're there like the enoughness will be more. And one of the really interesting things actually about moving here is spending a lot of time with you. And it's
stop.
It's
is
like,
it gonna be good or bad? Let's hear.
So like, it's interesting because I could tell right away that you're a very ambitious person, and I also identify as a very ambitious person. However, my relationship with that thing had changed so much since like when I was 18. I'm 30 now. So like 12 years have passed, and in the time that's happened, I think it's actually important to mention this. I did lose both my parents, and I have 2 siblings. So like my role, just like life, the organization of life has changed.
Yeah, I mean,
very substantially.
You became like the head of the family. You know what I'm saying? Like
more or less. Yeah. I mean,
that's
yeah,
real. I can see that in your eyes. You know, before we met, I knew I was like, not to be whatever, but I was like, this motherfucker, something's happened to him, right? Because there's just like a depth, and again, we met through music, right? But I could tell that there was like, I heard it on the records,
and that, I mean, it means a lot to hear you say that. Like that has been true forever. Like from the age of 13, 14, music was always the thing that I turned to express things that I wasn't able to express otherwise. So it's a very much, and it's like without that there would be all this stuff that just would go on. It would just be absorbed somewhere, and it's been very important. And like also from a young age, the thing that I was really into was the craft. Like,
well, that's what everyone here has in common.
True,
that's
absolutely true. Yeah, and so I feel like I don't, definitely now there's not really like there's not a specific thing, like a forward-looking thing or a thing in the future that I can say with a kind of confidence that, oh, like when that's done, I'll be satisfied. I'm also like I try to practice satisfaction
remixed with Field Mob.
Like daily, and like some days I feel it, some days I don't feel it. Like it's a moving thing.
When you say practice, I'm just curious. When you say like practice satisfaction, like what?
This is an all ages pod. Don't ask that question.
What does that mean?
I mean, like
no, I mean for real.
So, like one of the interesting quotes that's coming to mind during this part of the conversation is it's a James Baldwin quote, and it's from, I think this is a speech that was transcribed. It's called "The Artist's Struggle for Integrity." I don't know if any. Yeah. And you can correct me if I'm getting this wrong.
I don't have the quote memorized, so
he says,
take us there.
He says, and he's talking about like the arc of an artist, and he says like he's describing this journey of an artist, and at this point in his description of the journey, the artist has achieved a certain level of success. They're known. They've put in a lot of work. They've lost friendships. They've gone through a lot, and they've reached this point where the way he describes it, you have to make a choice, and the choice is between: do you want to be famous, or do you want to write? And the two things could not be more different. And that's something. When he said it, like I was like, oh shit, this is so real.
You mind if I transition from that?
Yeah, go for it.
This is a thing that right. It's like, yo, I mean, you know, Saila and I have known each other the longest of anyone in this room, right? We met each other when we were like first year in college, maybe at our. I don't know if it was at our most ambitious, but definitely at the rawest point of like desiring something, you know. And we, you know, I've seen both of our relationships to ambition change a lot, right? When you were saying, but here you were saying like, as an actor, you were like, I doing all this just to get in the room. I mean, the thing that I thought when you were talking about your journey as an actor, I was like, damn, I'm doing all this just so that Harvey Weinstein thinks I did a good job. It's like, I don't fucking like any of these people, right? And it, like, there's this POS quote where he says, y'all are giving passes to people you couldn't stomach in person. I think that every day. And one of the things, you know, I'm trying to like, in this show, like, I was trying to figure out like what the engine is, right? That is going to make you feel like when you're listening to this is a narrative, right? It's a nonstop narrative. And I'm like, I think it's like, watching my friends try to figure out how to survive in an inherently inhospitable system, right? And I do think that like the optimism in me, because I know so many of you motherfuckers that are like crafts people who part of, when you're an inquisitive person, when you have a religious practice of doing the work, it makes you look at the world and go, that ain't right. Right. And yes, we're like, I do think that there are alternate systems that we can build, but we all have to like kind of buy in to that, you know, and that's a macro conversation I'll return to. But I want to go to this thing of like how ambition it has changed for me. Right, especially, and we were talking about this, about how like, you know, there's certain, you know, like the Chapo Trap House, that podcast started as a reaction to Bernie being a possible candidate. TrueAnon started as a result of like one of the first Jeffrey Epstein arrests, right? And this thing that I actually, in Fatih and I's episode, I was like, oh, this is a post-Diddy podcast for me, because those are the records that made me go, I want to do this thing. And when you're saying you want to be in the room with those people, like, yo, there's certain people that I work with and I've only met like on the internet, and I'm like, at first I was like, I wish I was there so they could take me to the dinner and whatever. Now I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of safety in being able to close the computer screen and you're still at home, you know, to not have to be like one of the jokes that everyone's making, but like I see it every day. It's like every celebrity is like, I don't know, I was at those Diddy parties, but the molestation must have happened at 3:35 and I left at 2:34. You gotta understand, 3:34, okay? That's when they turn the button. I'm like, you motherfuckers are all lying. When we did an Entourage, we watched all of Entourage, I guess last year, and I was like, anybody who thinks that the Me Too shit was like a little secret, they're joking about it. And I don't know when the first episode was, but I was like, this is like, I don't know if you know the date, I'm not going to look it up, but I think it was like, you know, early 2000s stuff. So this is like 20 years of like joking about sexual assault being just like the air we breathe. You know what I'm saying? And again, like, we just watched that Diddy documentary, the one, it's crazy. And you're like, everyone knew everything. It's just, there was never, it's not like we might feel, because we're not in the industry. Everyone here's in the industry, but we're not as in the industry as some people who've been like at the top for that long, right? So for us, we can be like, oh, this is the fourth turning. This is a revelation or whatever. But like, it wasn't a revelation to those people. You know what I'm saying? So it makes you go, what? It's like as if you were like, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, but you don't really know what Mount Everest is. And then you get to the fucking Himalayas, and then you're like, do I want to? And, you know, like, when we were young, and you could attest, like, I was taking this to Safia yesterday. I was like, you know, Safia showed me a picture of her in Immortal Technique. And I was like, I remember this era. No. But, like, that was a guy. Well, okay. I'm going to say something about Immortal Technique, and then I want to say a macro thing, right? It was like Immortal Technique was the first time where I went, because, you know, you hear him talk about the CIA and all this stuff, and I'm like, that's all right. All the anti-imperialist stuff is right. It's a very common thing for men to be like, right about anti-imperialism. And then the way he was talking about women, I was like, this can't be the left. There's just no way. Like, this is an incomplete thought. Even at 22, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, that cannot be the full. And look, most people on Earth do not have intelligible politics. You know what I'm saying? It's just not, it's vibes. You know what I'm saying? So it really is. It's vibes-based political thought, right? And so that was the first time where I was like, okay, there must be something else here, right? And, you know, hip-hop is the most important culture to me ever. It's what made me American, and it's what gave me life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like for a long time, I really didn't want to like criticize hip-hop unless I was talking to people inside of it. But I used to be a scold, like not a fun like, dude, I sent an email to DJ Trackstar where I was like, will LP sign a petition to not say the word bitch in his raps? And he was like, I'll forward it. You know what I mean? No, you know what I mean? I was like like really annoying. I was like, it's like, don't talk about rape culture at the party. It was like, but it was what the most important thing to me was this culture, inside of the culture. And then I realized, like, number one, the records weren't very good, so people aren't going to listen to you. It's like, yo, if you want, if Jay-Z makes something, you're like, yeah, because he's giving us records. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, the records weren't very good, and I was like, really annoying. I was like, you know, these were the years of like, you know, when Air Force Ones was a big hit, and I was like, who made those Air Force Ones? You know, so like now it's like, I wasn't even contending. I was not contending.
We have a lot of shorthand sayings in our culture too here in this house. And what you just described is what is known in this apartment as getting conscious in the cipher.
I was only, which by the way, the literalness of being conscious in the cipher isn't a moral technique thing where like everyone was rapping, being nice, and then he goes in the cipher, he's like, in 1994, and I'm like, yo, don't tell us about the Tulsa Massacre right now, bro. We're trying to be like, I rap good, you rap not as good as I, right? But it's this thing of like, I mean, dude, and again, in New York, and Saila, because this is, how much I love this city. I want to see if this is if you find offense to this or not, and then I defer to you. But like, in my observation, no, this is not me being sarcastic. I'm being sincere, bro.
Let's see if Saila gets offended.
Yeah, let's see. I'm waiting.
I never in my life want to provoke you ever again.
Again. Ooh, there's a story. It wasn't a
There's 20 years. There's not enough time in the world. No, but like, in New York, I felt like obviously people want to be famous, but like everyone was just like, I want to be good. I want to be every rapper's favorite rapper. I want to be every actor's favorite actor. I mean, like, dude, Phil Hoffman, the thing that he said to me that was like the most important thing, he was like, yo, anytime you're acting in a room that you're not paying the rent on, you have to take that seriously. And that's it. So when you're talking this satisfaction thing, I know I was like, joking, like I'm not okay with it. No, but like, yo, I love the process. So I'm always okay because I want to make the thing. I met these people back in the day who wanted to be musicians and then went on one tour and it was like, I just don't like eating peanut butter sandwiches. I don't like being in a car. And I was like, you're not. And they didn't. They became real estate agents because I was like, aren't you excited that you fuck you? It's kind of honestly my feeling, right? Like, but we have to contend with the if I could keep this apartment and some government, you just get a check. They're like, look, it belongs to you. And every now and then, you can put out these records and every now you can play these shows. Like, that would be enough for me. But the fact of the matter is, especially in music, very few people can feed, I'm not even saying feed their kids, feed yourselves without being famous. So when I came to LA, it was the first time where I was contending with and I had been, I think, lying to myself for a long time where I was like, I don't want to be famous, right? If I could have figured out the MF Doom thing or the Daft Punk thing like 30 years ago, like that would have been I didn't want to be on Instagram, bro. I get on Instagram kind of like late, right? But then I was like, I said something to actually Sam Katz, friend of the show. We were talking about something and I was like complaining about the industry, but then I was talking about like saving up for this feature and he was like, well, then you're trying to be in the industry. You don't, it's an insincere thing to be like, fuck the system, but I really want this DaBaby feature. I'm like, no, you want this thing. And look, Sam Katz moved to Mexico and lives somewhere that the rent is like $1, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But like, and I don't find that to be exploitative because he like learned the culture and is there and like plants shit in the ground and like works with, so but again, I didn't do that. But I also like, that is, Sam's my boy, but it's like, I do think that like, when especially white people in hip hop, like the second you get political consciousness, I mean, Macklemore. Can you believe that Macklemore is fucking head of the PLO now? Like, it's insane, bro. Like, that was the thrift shop guy, but he was kind of like, my whiteness is so it was like 2020 brain, but like in a good way, where he was like, actually, I'm so white that hear you talk now. He was like, which is not a hip hop. That's why, like, Jack Harlow, I don't know what that young man's politics are, but he was like, no, I'm better than all these black rappers. And everyone went, but all the rappers went, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, right? So it's kind of like, you kind of got to pick a lane, right? And the thing for me is, I'm like, okay, well, here is where you learn, like LA, it's like, where you learned how do you create fame. It's an industry, right? It's literally what keeps the lights on, right? So I was like, okay, well, you have to contend with that on some level. That's why I started this podcast. I was like, I'm not good at social media, bro. These clips aren't working, right? But this is a medium that I'm like, okay, you develop an intentional parasocial relationship. But what you always say about this shit is like, you have to give people something of value, right? That's why I'm like asking y'all to be here, because this is I'm learning. You know what I'm saying? And like, I guess the sort of macro thread that I want to pull through like the rest of this shit is like how we contend with the desire. Because, it's an insincere premise to be like, just go be happy, with just the work, if the work is not feeding you, right? So like, the systems aren't in place for us to just, I mean, that's why, like, I don't totally, I'm going to say something that's very general, which is like in Europe, but like, but I hear certain people that in Europe, they're like, oh yeah, like I get a grant from the government and I go make a movie about my mom chopping carrots and I'm good. And I'm like, well, we don't have
That's
that
also in
fucking
Canada.
option.
I actually.
Then why did you leave?
Coming up next. No, I will be. I also live part time in Canada still, and yeah.
We get that carrot grant.
Yeah, like, I mean, the granting system is really great. Like, I mean, obviously there's, again, if you're like very ambitious, there's limitations because you're like, you kind of want to be in a, I guess, like like competition does kind of seem to sharpen certain things, and there's really great quality things that comes out of like a more competitive way of creating. And but I mean, I've received a lot of grants in my life, and I'm very grateful.
Mashallah, bro. Mabruk, mabruk.
I'm very grateful for them, and I like hope that they've resulted in something that was of value to the taxpayers who got to like experience the work. So,
but fuck that. If it was value, because here's the thing, it's like if every single person, because I know all of your art, they were just like, here's your stipend, and you're not rich, but you can go out for coffee and you can pay your bills or whatever, and just make something of value to you, right? That would be the illest shit ever, right? But because we don't have that option, I mean, like, it's a bit of a conundrum, right? And I do think it's a conundrum that, like, I see everyone in my life at least contending with. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, again, it's this thing of like, this is very, very like early 2000s fucking, indie rap shit or whatever. But when we're talking about like mainstream and indie, and there's a similar thing, I'm sure, kind of in film a little, where like, I've heard you say stuff where you're like, that was an indie movie. That was a $30 million movie by this company that, you know what I'm saying? Like, so what it means in film is I don't even understand it at all, right? But at least in hip hop, it was like, okay, like you can be kind of like building your hand-to-hand network, you know what I'm saying, and be on these tours or whatever. But like, some of those artists are really important to me, but if I'm honest, I'm like, all the artists that really changed my life were in the system. They were major label artists. So when you make the whatever Mount Rushmore, and then you put yourself in it, you're like, well, then you do have to be in the system, right? And look, is there something right below it that you could do without playing the Super Bowl? I'm sure, right? But no, go ahead.
Well, yeah, no. I was just gonna say, yeah, I think like Super Bowl is very specifically
no,
that.
but yo, the artists that we're talking about are that big. That's what they do.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I don't know. It's weird because, like, for example, I come from a land of grants, and and my ambition pushed me out of it. I was like, okay, enough with these grants. Like, I wanna. And I was like, I don't even know.
This is turning into an episode where we judge you for leaving what seemed very nice.
No, literally. And the whole time I was like, how do you guys do it? Like, I'm still kind of like, where do you guys get your money from? Like, how do you...
Nepo babies, selling drugs.
How do you do it? It's a mystery. I'm like, I'm still trying to figure it out. But I do think like that there is like a greatness and a sort of excellence that is a part of ambition that isn't necessarily like, and yes, like, the luxuries and stuff, but like, I do think is something maybe, not the Super Bowl. I think that there is another.
I want to just cut everyone some slack on this luxury thing, because you're like, bro, in America,
I want to go to the farmer's market.
What you're saying there,
get orange juice.
You're talking about things that should be like part of the basic, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, shelter, bro. People own the water here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think that especially on the left, like I often see like a cannibalization of each other, where it's like, you're a sellout. I'm like, bro, like I have this theory, which I believe is correct because it's my theory, which is that like, the left can be divided into failed artists and failed revolutionaries, right? So like you have someone like Pac, who was not a revolutionary, but then was like, I'm going to be an artist, right? And then you have a lot of revolutionaries, who I shall not name, who like, if they had gotten a single off the ground, you wouldn't hear no Che Guevara shit from them, bro. But they couldn't really rap, or they couldn't really sing or dance. So there's this constant struggle, right? Like even, again, people who I respect, who I shall not name, who have... You think it's a hot take?
I think it's a hot take.
Oh.
I think it's. Tell me about
No,
your feelings in the
finish
last.
your take. I just want you to know you're being controversial.
Yo, can I just tell you? And honestly, okay, we have to end in 4 minutes. But one thing that's been happening, I was telling Safia the other day that I was like, we were doing a little relationship check-in about stuff, and I was like, the thing about this show is that my brain hurts from being self-conscious because you're like, there's no team. We said this the other day. I was like, Sally, you want to be in charge? I want to be the talent. I want someone else to be like, hey, kid, do this, and the third. And I'm like, please, but because, and look, there's a lot of production going on here, even without anybody else, right? But it's like the constant thing of like having to like listen back and be like, you suck, you're ugly, you're this, you should skip that, this is too long, this is too short, and then go back and be like, all right, now have fun and invite your friends and make sure everyone has part. It's like that's incredibly like the thing I want to do at the end of the day is just like watch someone else do anything. Like when I realized about good.
Finish giving us your hot take. You're leaving the listener hanging. Failed artists and failed revolutionaries.
Well, that is like the take, right? But the tendrils that come from that, right, are that I think that often people who are not smart enough for politics go into the arts, and people who are not good enough artists go into politics, right? But it's true. And then what ends up happening... I will not be
signing my release this evening. Thank you.
Wait, hold on. Do you not think that's obvious?
To be going to politics, going to the arts?
Yo!
First of all, in a world where the brilliant poet and political strategist Kimon Felix walks among us, that take is dead in the water.
Though, right?
I think she's exceptional.
And extremely ambitious.
I think she's exceptional, and also I think she's a genre of person that exists.
Yo, this is just bullshit my point. Kimon is one of the rarest minds.
Yes. You think that artists aren't smart enough to go into politics? This is the most bullshit take I've ever heard in my life.
Thank you.
That's so insulting to artists.
This is about to be Jerry Springer. This is about to be Jerry. Good.
This is insulting to all artists in general. We are creators. We are choosing to capture what it means to be human within an art form of our chosen mediums. And you think that we should drop that to go into a system that wants to kill us all? So we're stupid because we don't want to go into politics? Are you demented?
I think most artists are actually especially qualified to be in politics because all making art is world building, and all being a politician is being like, here's a version of the world that I think would run better, and then a lot of shit ends up getting in the way.
But you're choosing a different thing, right?
Sure, but it's still, again, shout out to Kimon Felix, who this year, I believe, has a book coming out called Let the Poets Govern about this exact thing. But it's so, like, are you talking about like career politician who gets like a W-2 for their job working in political office? Or because I think most artists are engaged with politics in one direction or another. You know what I mean? The very act of making art is on one end or the other political. It's not like...
Not everyone believes that, babe. Just so you know.
No, I don't need anyone to believe it. It's true.
But not everyone
exactly.
believes it.
It's true. And so even to be like, I'm gonna be a poet who only, this is, the thing that comes up all the time around poets specifically, to be like, why can't black poets just write about flowers? That's political. If I choose to, for the rest of my life, only be like, ode to the King Protea, that's political. That's political. Because that is making a series of choices based on the circumstances of the world around me. And that is what politics is.
So to clarify here, it's interesting, right? Like, there's a lot of free-floating signifiers here, right? Because even when you said like politics being in government, I'm like, I don't actually know that crosses my mind at all when I say politics, right? Immortal Technique is an interesting example, right? Because like he used to make records, and now he's like a community organizer and like works in like the there's a lot of like urban farming shit like that, right? That to me is politics, right? And what I mean to say, and like, I like getting Saila riled up and whatever, but like that wasn't my intention, right? What I'm saying was not meant to be like there are some people I do want to insult, but I'll say those names later. But it's not about that. It's about what I'm saying is like the way that particularly I see individuals on the left cannibalize each other, it's usually because of not acknowledging their own ambitions and jealousy of what the other person is doing, right? Because look, if every day you're out here, you know, rebuilding homes and like, you know, redistributing, you know, resources and stuff, and I'm over here taking headshots and making records, you can always point the finger at me and be like, you're not doing enough, right? That's facts. And also, if I secretly know that you didn't make it doing this other shit because you didn't have the stomach for it, I can come at you for that and be like, you suck, you can't rap, you can't do anything, right? And I'm saying that that's negative, right? The reason I bring this up about like, it's, you know, obviously like the word failure is it's a word that, especially under capitalism, has a lot of, you know, it has a lot of connotations, right? Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying is that because I think that the creative impulse is a political impulse, and it's also not a thing that, because we live in like a society where we're trying to, again, not just like you're encouraged to monetize it, you have to. If you don't monetize a creative thing and you're not, that's why oftentimes when I see like sanctimonious people being like, you know, oh, I've done it the right way because I'm not trying to chase the capitalist thing and they're an artist. I'm like, I want to know what your dad does. Because that means that, what's that thing you say all the time is like,
it is a tweet that I love and quote often. Beautiful girl with mysterious source of income. Why do you cry?
Yeah, beautiful girl with mysterious source of income. Why do you cry? You know? And I think that,
so good.
It's like, it's interesting because I know that take gave us, Saila Lakshmi's Jerry Springer moment. But in fact, I actually think that to me, I bring that up with a little bit of, glibness, but in order like to talk about a de-escalation of the way that we cannibalize each other, right? Because if you can go, hey, I understand that your path is just as valid as my path, and that we can, the desire to change the world, at least, look, the desire to leave the world in a better place than you found it is an inherently creative impulse. You have to be, a utopian, or if you're like into Ayn Rand, then I don't know that I would call that utopia, but you certainly have ideas. They're not good, but you have ideas. You know what I'm saying? And I think, again, like the Kimon Field example is really interesting because, again, like that's somebody, she's literally written speeches. She's literally organized. You know what I'm saying? Like
worked for many years as literally a political strategist. She's a speechwriter for the governor of New York for a long time, and then she moved to DC and worked for like a big political strategy firm.
And also the books are amazing.
And also is an incredible writer, one of the best living poets.
One of the great American.
And then her next book, which again we should I don't know if there's a pre-order link yet, but if it is, you could probably find it in the show notes, right, Christopher?
If you just,
but it's called "Let the Poets Govern" by Kimon Felix, and I think it's
spell her first
this
name
year.
For people.
CAMONGHNE, and then Felix is FELIX. But
that was Latino me assuming he could spell Felix. I was like with the first one. I knew there was an H that I was gonna fuck up.
But I do think a lot of like the dynamic you're describing is true about people on the left being like angrier with each other than they are at like Netanyahu.
Straight up.
But I do think it's like, this is not a fully formed thought, but I think because the fundamental tension we're coming up against is that we are trying to do collectivist work within a very individualist culture, and so it puts too large of an importance on the individual and the individual's choices and behaviors or whatever. And so being like, you as an individual are a flawed activist, when actually there's no such, it's like how there's like no such thing as a locust singular, right? Like it has to be
explain
like,
that because it's hot.
well, isn't it like the singular is grasshopper, right? Or cricket, grasshopper.
Yeah.
But once they're a swarm, then it's no longer a swarm of grasshoppers, it's a swarm of locusts. Yeah. And so I think this idea of being like singular activist, that thing that doesn't exist. That's bullshit. Mm. So to be like, you as an individual need to be this perfect political entity ultimately does not make sense, because we all need to be functioning parts of a whole and of something that is greater than the sum of its parts. But to be like, you're off the team because you I don't know, shopped at a forbidden place or whatever.
That was God telling me to wrap it up, baby.
It's time to wrap. But, in conclusion, it just is like, I think we all think about ourselves too much. And I think we all think that we as individuals, we just, I think, place undue importance on our work as individuals within these movements when actually the point is to show up and be part of a team. And so even being like, if I can't show up and be the most perfect activist I can be, better to just stay home and do nothing. It like, no.
100%.
You know what I mean? Better to show up and do a flawed version of the job, because literally that is what everyone since the dawn of history has been doing to get it. There's no perfect activist. That doesn't exist because there's no perfect human being. So but I do think because we are the most surveilled we've ever been in our lives, and also the most contributing to our own surveillance and reporting on ourselves and being very public facing, there is this idea of needing to code yourself or brand yourself as this unimpeachable political figure who does everything right and toes the line and whatever, which we should all aspire to moving in a way that reflects the entirety of our values in every moment. And also, we just live in a world that's designed to do the exact opposite of that. And so it's a push and pull in every moment. And in some moments you have more energy to put towards it than in others. And so that was also true of all of the figures throughout history that we lionize, whatever. It's just it wasn't documented on the internet for us to be like, did you see our beloved movement leader drinking a latte from a forbidden coffee shop?
No, and exactly that. And it's, I guess as I soften the point, the only point of the point that I want to remain a little bit harsh is the idea that activists, especially on the left, right? When you're that these people don't have ambition. You see what I'm saying? Because it's not so. Look, if you're gonna do it from behind a screen, that's one thing, right? I don't mean screen I mean if you were to do it without anyone seeing you, right? Then okay, Mother Teresa. I mean, I don't fuck with Mother Teresa, but you know what I'm saying? No, but exactly, right? People like that, right? It is not without ambition. And obviously, when you're talking about right-wing political figures, that the ambition is right there, right? We hold each other to a different standard, right? On the left, right? And I think that's why, the quote that I think all the time where is the old Marxist proverb that, the right looks for converts and the left looks for traitors. And that, I think, is the nexus of the pain for me in trying to navigate, individual ambition with collectivist ideals and the points in which we have friction around them. I think it's just important to aspire to honesty around them. That's our show. Thank you guys so much.
Can I say one thing?
You could say.
I'm sorry. No, just quickly, because you were talking about textiles, and this is actually, I'm wearing a dress jumper from Sway Shop.
Yes.
Yo, shout out Sway.
They're in LA, and they actually do receive those textiles that you can buy a bag. I think it's $20. You can buy a bag and you can actually put your textiles in it that aren't stained or have holes in it. And they do different dye baths, and they make different clothes out of the different pieces. And that's just one company that is actually trying to deal with textile waste in a sustainable way.
That's for everyone in the LA area.
You can donate a textile bag right now for $20 online, and they will go to those donation centers that have a surplus of stained and ripped clothing that no one wants to wear, that they will then take and repurpose in a way that's good.
Word up. Well, thank you guys so much. That has been episode 12, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, Josh.